Overall, his best production came against teams with losing records, going 3-1 while throwing 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in those games. Against teams with winning records, he finished 3-5 and his QBR ranked in the bottom 10. Here's Mike Tomlin today.
I'm certainly disappointed that I'm not working to prepare to play this week, and I've certainly felt that in recent years, but stuck is kind of a helpless feeling, and I don't know that I feel helpless. I would imagine there's going to be some things that change around here on a lot of levels. We don't have a quarterback under contract, and so we got some major discussions there. It was a really good experience with the 3 quarterbacks. Starts first and foremost with just understanding what our options are.
Graz is back with us. Graz, what is the plan at head coach and quarterback for the Steelers going forward?
Laura, as I understand it, the plan at head coach is Mike Tomlin. The Steelers gave him a contract extension last offseason, and I've been told nothing to indicate that they are dissatisfied with him, and he sounds like he is planning to move forward as their coach. So, do things change sometimes? Sure, but as of now, it does not seem like there's a change there. At quarterback, I don't believe there's a single rock that they can turn over that they won't turn over. I think literally everything is on the table. They're just now starting off-season preparations, and of course they were hoping they wouldn't have to start them this soon. They could keep Russell Wilson. They could keep Justin Fields. They could keep both. They could let go of both. They could go out and, try and sign Sam Darnold. They could try and trade for Kirk Cousins. Every name you could possibly hear on the quarterback market is going to be somebody the Steelers consider. They have to get the position right. As usual, they are not drafting particularly high in the draft. So if you take a shot on a quarterback at that point, it's a little bit, higher risk, as the Kenny Pickett pick from a couple years ago shows. So the Steelers know they have to get that right, and that their success going forward will be tied in large part to when they find the answer finally at that position.
Yeah, great stuff, Graz. I mean, Huck, it sounds like Tomlin's going to stay, and maybe he should. If he does, what does the future look like for him in Pittsburgh?
I think that's the biggest question. Should he wants to stay? Yeah. And that is not an indictment on him or the Steelers organization. I'm the biggest fan of the Rooney family and the Steelers. I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. A+ first class in every capacity.
You're one of those Yinzer people?
I'm a Yinzer.
No,
People don't know that about me.
But I didn't know what it was till McAfee.
Huck is full of fun facts.
Full of fun facts. And the same goes for Mike Tomlin. Incredible coach. The reality is, he's too good of a coach to get a quarterback that he needs to contend in the AFC. It's going to go through Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes. Man. So if you don't have one of those guys, it's going to be very, very difficult to get over this hump.
Well, that's why they can't win the playoffs.
It's as simple as that, right? And you're too good of a coach to ever be in position to get anybody close to that. And you could do it with a Russell Wilson or kind of a mid-tier quarterback, but that means you're going to need a big dog at running back. You're going to need a bona fide number 1, which they don't have in George Pickens. He's a number 2 right now. Does he have elite skills to be a number 1? Yes. But there is development and maturation that needs to happen for him as a football player to be in that spot. So as it stands, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I am entertaining that, well, maybe we should go our separate ways. So maybe I get to a spot where I have a quarterback. And also the Pittsburgh Steelers would inevitably probably take a step back for a step forward for them to get in the spot to get a quarterback.
Reminder that Tomlin has a no-trade clause, so he would control a lot of this if he did want to step away, for sure. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, the only real way to fix it is to have the Steelers do something which they've really never done, and that's take assets in the draft to move up to go get a quarterback. You got to remember, when they got Ben, it was like the middle of the draft when they selected Ben Roethlisberger, so it wasn't like they took – hey, we were the 26th pick and we traded up to the 3rd pick to go Ben. That's the reality of where they are. They don't, to your point, the quarterback conversation in the comparison, they don't have a chance to meet the standard until they have a quarterback that can elevate the standard. Yep. They're always going against quarterbacks that do. Mike Tomlin's always like, well, we got to play against Mr. Lamar Jackson. You don't have anybody that's in the same class.
And their defense fell off a little bit too, right?
Totally, yes, but that's oftentimes, the defense did fall off a little bit, but that's a little bit attached to the offense being so inept in many ways and the defense constantly being out there. The question is going to be this. Are you willing as an organization to start a new philosophy, to start a new thought process of how you go about doing things? Because if you don't, crossing your fingers to get an elite franchise quarterback at the 24th pick is just unrealistic.
Well, first of all, it's timing, too. I agree with both of you guys, but who? who's there? Like, are you going to try to trade up, and do you think Shador is that guy where you could give away assets? The problem here, hey, y'all, I want to remind y'all, since Hawk is a Steelers fan, you know why we here? Because they held on to Ben Roethlisberger too long.
Well, they didn't have a plan after Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, they didn't have a
that's the point.
Correct.
That's the point, Dio. That's the point I'm making, because we killed, not me, but a lot of people killed Green Bay for making a decision when they had a Hall of Fame quarterback in position. And we've seen this revolving cycle. Obviously, they drafted Kenny Pickett. They thought that would work out. It didn't work out. You miss on more quarterbacks than you hit on them. So we find them in this ever-revolving cycle of, well, what are we going to do this year at quarterback? We know the quarterback is not going to be good enough with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson in your division. So to your point, Dio, and I 100% agree, it's got to be a philosophical change. You got to play football a different way if you're going to try to compete with those guys.
This is why so many of us really felt so convicted about continuing with Justin Fields this year. Because then at least you'd have a decision.
Yeah.
At least you'd have information. Right now, you're still in limbo of, well, we don't know. Russell, you don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas at least if Justin had played, maybe you don't make but at least you know what he can be.
It was also so weird because when Russ came in, he played really well for a little bit and then fell off some. So it's hard to really figure the whole thing out. But the Steelers...
Yeah, so I think there's an interesting play that we saw in the first quarter of the Ravens game where they put Derrick Henry in at quarterback and put Lamar out wide. A direct snap to Derrick Henry. And I expected them to run this play to get attention. Watch how much attention that Lamar Jackson consumes was because they wanted the Bills to spend time preparing for it. And the time today's formation's out there, when you have a player like Lamar Jackson who's so athletic that he attracts that attention and is comfortable out on the edge like that, I think it's a real sneaky move by the Ravens to put that on tape.
2 of the 3 direct snaps that Derrick Henry has received have resulted in a touchdown and Saturday's 34-yard gain versus...
Với kênh YouTube của mình, video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ lại đi